controls of their spacecraft had suddenly blanked out by the intervention of an invisible alien force, like an icy draft through the cabin. Not only the mechanical controls had been put out of action, but their nerve centers had been paralyzed. He and Bradley, their co-pilot, had sat helpless in their pressure seats for 2 hours, while the invading force guided their ship in a sickening spiral through the poisonous cloud belts of an unknown planet. Lycan and Bradley had blacked out when they landed. How had they gotten out of the ship? He stood up and tripped over the sleeping form of his companion, naked except for the skin-tight, transparent spacesuit that clung to his muscular body. He decided to have a quick look at the terrain before waking Bradley. He was at the bottom of a gully, surrounded by red rocks of some translucent substance. He climbed out of the gully and found himself on a plateau. A fantastic landscape of multicolored rock, carved like statues of molten blue lava, interspaced with stalagmites of a pearly white intensity he had never experienced in his previous explorations. The sky was like a green ocean. There were 4 suns on the horizon around the plateau, each sun of a different color: blue, green, red, and one, much larger than the others, a brilliant silver. The air was of a tingling clarity that seemed to support his body so that the movements were incredibly precise and easily performed. He turned and started back down the gully toward the pool. He felt a click in his brain like a crystal flare and heard a silver voice. "Come, stranger." Bradley was accustomed to telepathic phenomena, but this voice was unusually clear and immediate. He climbed over a large rock and saw the pool. His friend was still asleep. Beside him sat an amphibious green fish boy, shimmering with water from the pool. The creature pulsed with translucent green light that flooded through the flesh in eddies. The head was a pointed dome that sprang from a slender neck on either side of which protruded gills like sensitive spongy wings. The creature was covered by a membranous substance with a network of transparent veins. The body surface was in constant motion, like slow water dripping down a statue. The face was almost flat, but with lips and nose sharply and beautifully delineated and huge liquid eyes above the high-ridged cheekbones, the delicate structure of which shone through transparent skin. The being was sitting in a cross-legged position, and from its thighs jutted small silver fins of fine gauze. The slender, sinuous legs ended in webbed flippers. Between the legs, Lycan could see the genitals, half aroused in curiosity, as the fish boy stroked the head of his sleeping companion and touched the spacesuit with tentative jabs of its long green fingers. Lycan moved cautiously, so as not to frighten the creature back into the pool. The fish boy turned and looked at him with a shy, dreamy smile. An electric shiver ran up his spine and burst in crystal fish syllables. "Approach, stranger. Have no fear." The creature's mouth had not moved. Lycan moved forward with excitement tingling through his body and knelt beside the water boy, who extended a dripping hand and lightly clasped his shoulder. A thrill ran through him from the contact. Underwater memory bubbles burst in his brain. He was in the alien medium, squirming in crystal rock pools and basking on edges of limestone fanned by giant ferns and the sound of dripping water. Swimming through ruined cities with the water creatures twisting in slow swirls of orgasm, shooting out explosions of colored bubbles to the surface, trailing blue streamers. Ali woke in a strange bed to find the proprietor standing over him. "Who the fuck are you and what are you doing in my apartment?" Ali flashed back to the suburban cocktail party, music from the 20s, old women doing the Charleston, and the Irishman with iron gray hair who looked like a con cop from vaudeville. "Easy way and a tough way to do things, kid. I can put you up for the night in this apartment. The owner is out of town, and I don't think he'll be back before tomorrow night." "But," Mr. O'Brien said, "tell O'Brien he can stay in his own precinct. This happens to be my apartment. Put on your dry goods and cut." Ali dressed hastily. Tucking his shirt, he slipped out into the American suburb. The streets were empty and clean, like after a heavy rain. At an intersection of cracked concrete, boys turned slow circles on roller skates under a half-moon in the morning sky, swept by storms of color as the sun rose. Ali felt his steps lighter and lighter. He floated away on eddies of blue and green. He alighted in the clear atmosphere.